This is the Girls of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we're talking about the benefits of voluntary celibacy for a time for those of you who have not yet found the father of your children. There are so many benefits that come from abstaining from sexual relationships before you have found the right guy compared to that of starting to have sex already in your teenage years. Let's just start with two big obvious ones right out of the ballpark, which are unwanted STDs and unwanted pregnancies. Why would you not want an STD? First of all, it is a burden. It is a burden that reminds you continuously of the guy that you got an STD from. He might be long gone, but the STD that you're left with, not only will you be left with it, with the burdens that come with that STD, but also your future partner will also be burdened with that STD as well. You can do everything that you can to protect yourself from STDs, but just like pregnancies, there is no foolproof 100% way to protect yourself from them, except for if you abstain from sex completely until you decide to start a family relationship with the future father of your children. I'm grateful that we've got birth control today. I'm grateful that we can protect ourselves from STDs. I'm grateful that children who were not supposed to be born are not born because we're taking precautionary measures, for sure. However, I want you to practice it because you desire to practice it because of the benefits that are available. So let's talk more about the other benefits of voluntary celibacy. When women chose to not have sex in their teenage years because they were protected by their fathers and society was set up differently than what it is today, women did not have as much mental health problems as they have today. Why is that so? Because sex comes with emotions, always. When you start dating a guy in your teenage years because you saw him at school and he was very cute, and then basically one thing led to another. First you guys were holding hands, then you started kissing, and from kissing, the natural lead up eventually is for you guys within a few weeks, months, or maybe even a few years, you end up having sex with each other. The probability that you're going to end up with that guy and he's going to be the father of your children for the rest of your life is very, very minuscule. So either one of two things is going to happen. Either you break up the relationship, which means that you can move on now to your next sexual partner, or he will dump you and he will move on to a new sexual partner. You lose in both of these instances. One, if he leaves from you, that means that he had the power in the relationship. You're going to be upset with him, but you're also going to pine for him. You're going to be upset that he left you, and you're going to be stuck with the memories, and you're going to be stuck by yourself because he's moved on without you. Sexual rejection is one of the biggest issues that women face in the world today, and it's happening all of the time. And it's going to continuously increase as men begin to learn pickup artist methods of how to get girls into bed and then not committing to them. That's something that's prevalent these days. It's happening more and more. And you have probably experienced it if you're a little bit higher on the sexual market value scale. If you dump him, on the other hand, now obviously that's going to be a lot better than if he dumps you, because you're not really interested in him anymore, but then you've moved on to the next guy, but you've still had sexual relationships with that guy. Even if you don't get pregnant from it, even if you don't get STDs from it, you still have that guy that you remember, and probably if you dumped him, he wasn't really worth it. Why would you have wanted to have sex with him in the first place? And you move on to the next guy. And the next guy, one of two things are going to happen. Either he's going to dump you or you're going to dump him. And you're basically playing Russian roulette continuously with every single relationship that you start. You're allowing your emotions to choose who you're going to date. and allowing your emotions to choose those guys is always a bad idea. Because if you haven't noticed, very often women choose the wrong guys. There is no rationality in your attraction to that guy. However, there's a science behind it. If you've watched my channel, you understand it. And some of my videos go very detailed into why you're attracted to specific guys. So the question is, how do you end up finding the right guy in the future? Well, you definitely are not trying a lot of guys out until you find the best one. You want to retain your femininity. You want to be able to be fired up about life all of the time. And the more you involve yourself in the emotional world of sex, the harder time you're going to have in your teenage years and in your 20s. Good sexual memories that you receive from all of these hormonal mixes that are going on with oxytocin and dopamine and the rush of having sex with your new boyfriend, man, it's great. However, these good memories very often turn into sad memories or into bad memories. Sad in case he's the one who leaves you, and bad memories in case you're like, ew, I can't believe I did it with that guy. And some bad experiences turning to sexual trauma that eventually turns into nightmares. Hopefully you'll be able to avoid all of that completely by living voluntary celibacy. When you begin to have sex with your boyfriends in your teens and in your 20s, a lot of thought goes into thinking about this guy that you're having sex with or that you do want to have sex with. A lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort is put in to get that guy. However, as you can see, the probabilities that you're going to be with him long term and he's going to be the father of your children, it's so small, it's absolutely ridiculous that you even spent time on him in the first place. So instead of spending time on useless guys, because they're pretty much all useless if they're about the same age as you, instead of that, you could have been investing your time and energy in understanding relationships. Like really understanding it, instead of being blind when you're in love and sex is happening and whatever. You could be actually understanding how to create amazing relationships by studying it out. And I'd rather you understand that all of the theory behind it than you engaging recklessly, not knowing the theory behind it. Also understand your relationships with your parents. Where do you come from? Why do you got the values that you have? Do you like the values that you have? Have you figured yourself out yet? Because if you don't know where you come from or where you want to go or what kind of relationship, what kind of lifestyle you desire, why on earth would you start a sexual relationship with anyone? I know you desire it. You're a woman, you're a girl. However, what's best for you might not be the thing that you need to have right now. Not only that, but time and energy and effort could also be spent on your health. Making sure that you have optimal health and that you keep that optimal health because of the habits you develop in your teens and in your 20s that will go with you throughout the rest of your life. The better exercise habits you have, the more flexibility you have, the better eating habits you have, all of those things. You've got tons of time and energy to think about those things when you're not involved sexually with boyfriends that are not gonna be there for the long term. Think about all the talents that you could develop, all the hobbies that you could do, and even money that you could make, for example, online, focusing on other things than sexual relationships. You can learn new language, you can learn instruments, you can learn dancing, you can do so many things with your life. And yet most of you are putting yourself in situations where you're going to end up having sex with guys and it's not going to work out. Femininity is the key. Why is femininity so important? What is it about it? Femininity goes hand in hand with beauty. Beauty and femininity are mostly the biggest things. That's like 80% of the package when a guy chooses you to be his girlfriend and his future wife. Your femininity and your beauty. You don't have that, you're going to get a guy who has a lower sexual market value than you could have had if you had femininity and beauty. Is that shallow? Nope, it's just the way it is. Biology, attraction, just like you can't help it. I fell in love with that guy and it happened to me. In the same way, that's what happens to guys. When they see your beauty, when they see your femininity and the values that he desires in the future wife, it happens to him. He also falls in love. And the more you can create that in a high sexual market value guy, man, the better lifestyle you're going to have. Let's talk a little bit more about sexual market value. All of us are between the scale of 1 to 10. That's just how it is. Some of us will get partners that are higher end on that scale, and some of us will have someone who is lower on that scale. However, if we practice the principles that we learn on this channel, you can make sure that the guy that you get who is higher sexual market value than you are, that he becomes a 10 for you. No matter if he's on a 5 or 6 or a 7 or whatever it is on the scale, eventually if you practice the principles that I teach, you will look at him as if he is a 10. That's what's possible for you. The only thing that's important is that you're massively in love with who he is, with the person that he is, with the understanding of life, with the knowledge and wisdom he has, and his ability to provide for you with whatever it is that you need and to protect you from harm and danger. Every single girl or woman that applies the principles on the Girls of High Value channel will eventually receive a 10 in their eyes. And that's the only thing that matters. Why is it that you get so many feminist messages that are telling you that you need to have sex a lot? You need to go and explore and have as much sex with as many sexual partners that you desire and be all over the place. Think about where that message is coming from. If they are out there and have had tons of sexual partners, the only way that they can have high sexual market value is by making sure that everyone else has the same amount or more sexual partners than they've had in their history. So if you hear other women complain that you need to go out there and have sex because you're not having sex, you can for sure know that in their hindbrain, in their subconscious brain, they're thinking, I need to make sure that every woman is out there having sex with a lot of sexual partners because I don't want to be the only one that reduces my sexual market value in my teens and in my 20s. How does that work? It's because high value men desire women that have as low sexual partners as possible. The less sexual history a woman has, the more interested a man will be in securing this woman as his long-term mother of his children. Men inherently know that the fewer sexual partners he's had, the less baggage he has with her into our relationship. The less problems and baggage I will have to carry. And the better outlook my children are going to have, because the higher partner count that woman has, the more likely it is that we're going to get a divorce. And if we get a divorce, I lose the kids, I lose half of my money, and I have to pay a lot of money to a divorce attorney who's not going to succeed. Men are not interested. Men are beginning to shun away from marriage and from family, and that's a big problem. Society is built up of families. And the moment families stop functioning, society will stop functioning. And if you are single in your 40, 50, 60, 70s during that time and you have to provide for yourself and society is screwed, you're going to be screwed. And if there's a guy who says that you need to be a little bit more loose, the only reason he says that is so that he can get in your pants. He's gonna leave, he's gonna disappear, and he's not going to care about you in the long run. The guy who gets fired up outside his brain about you being a voluntary celibate, now that's a guy worth noticing. That's probably the long-term guy that you could bet on for the long term. However, if he's not a subscriber to the Men of High Value channel, I'd probably be a bit careful still. Really, what it's all about is retaining your femininity, because your femininity is what determines your happiness. Femininity is what determines your sexual fulfillment. Femininity is what determines how high on the sexual market value scale your future father of your children is going to be at. And the higher he is on that sexual market value scale, the more he's going to be able to provide the luxuries of life for you in the long run, and the probability that he's going to protect you from harm and danger and from emotional issues is going to massively increase. Trust me on this. At the same time, it's important to remember that sex is a fantastic thing. It is absolutely awesome when practiced in the right way at the right time, but timing is crucial. Happiness, sexual fulfillment, and making sure that you preserve your femininity and your youth is alpha omega. This is the Girls of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I'm excited for you to participate on this journey. Make sure you comment down below and I'll see you in the next video.